you'll notice things starting to just go horribly wrong in your life, and you start to lose things. You lose physical possessions, you lose money, you lose jobs, like the whole kit and caboodle. Trust that there's a transformation going on for you, and that all you need to do is just allow yourself to be part of that transformation. So a bit of a backstory on why I thought I needed to take a break from my life. Starting in 2017, something started to really shift and change within myself, and it caused kind of a landslide of different events happening that really was pushing me into something that I didn't even know I was being pushed into. So I lost my corporate career job. Not that I loved it, but it was paying my bills and I was making a lot of money, but I was just really, really unhappy in that job. And so I was let go from that job, because what we put out to the universe, is always going to be brought back to us. And so for me, I was actually putting that energy out of how much that job really was soul sucking, and oh, wouldn't it be awesome to be let go from that job, and then I can focus full time on building my own business. And that actually did happen. And interestingly enough, when it actually does happen and you're presented with the opportunity to get exactly what you want, how things don't always pan out and don't always work out the way that you expect them to. And the other thing that happened over that timeline from 2017 to where I was today is a really significant relationship in my life came to an end, and I really mourned the loss of that relationship for a long, long time. I think a lot of people in my close inner circle were starting to wonder exactly what was wrong with me, because I was still so connected to wanting to be in that relationship, even though he had already moved on. But it sat with me and it lived in my heart, and I was so hopeful that things would turn around, but that wasn't to be. So I was stuck in this energy of my new business that I was just so deeply and passionately committed to, not actually moving forward at all. Little drips here and there I would see, come through, but nothing really substantial that would be financially sustaining for me, all the while still longing for a relationship that had to leave my life. It just had to leave. And then we threw COVID in there as well, and things just shutting right down. And so what happened for me is what caused me to take a break from my life, because my life as it was just too painful to keep going the way it was. And yet I didn't really particularly know exactly where I was going. And so that was scary all on its own. So I kept on hitting this brick wall, and I kept on trying new things, and coming from things at a different angle, and doing different healings to heal my heartbreak and that deep sadness and grief that I was still carrying around. Everything, different angles, talking to people, going to psychics, doing a lot of meditation, which I'm very much pro meditation and still incorporate in my absolutely everyday life. And in future videos, I'm actually going to be sharing a lot of the things that I do, a lot of the things that I did that have really helped me. So some of my routines and changes that I've made in my life as well. But at that time, I spent a lot of years. So we're talking from 2017 until, what are we, 22, September of 22 now, 2022. And a lot of shifting, a lot of adjusting, and coming at things at different angles, and just trying different things, but just nothing nothing was moving, and I was just bang, like this brick wall, brick wall, brick wall all the time. Until one day I got a message from one of my kids, one of my girls actually, and she said, Mom, if you're going to keep doing what you're going to do, if you're going to be where you are, fully commit to being and making it work with where you are. And where we were talking about a living situation. And I believe that the universe delivers us really like bombshells in terms of messages through people. And so she delivered a message to me that really got me thinking from a different perspective, because everything I had been doing up until that point was really in an effort to avoid certain situations, to close myself off. And when we close ourselves off that way, what it does is actually it blocks the flow of new energy to come into your life. And that's exactly what was happening with me. So when I received this message to, like, if you're going to be here, then just be here and don't worry about anything else that's happened in your past. Let that go. Problem is I couldn't let it go with where I was in a physical location. For me, I couldn't let that go. So for me, I actually had to leave where I was living and move somewhere completely different. And so I decided to no longer run into that brick wall, and I decided to do something different. I had no idea what that something different was going to be. For me, I was scared as all hell. It was scary. I was scary. I was used to having a lot of financial stability, a lot of physical abundance, and all of a sudden everything just started being stripped away from my life, and I was really brought down to a very humbling place in my life, where it was like bare bones, and bare bones is a scary place to be, but bare bones is the place. Some might call it rock bottom. I like to think of it as everything was stripped out of my life that no longer needed to be there. Everything was stripped away, whether it was financial abundance, whether it was certain people in my life, physical possessions. Things started leaving my life. I was like stripped right down to the core, metaphorically. But here's the thing that happens when you get to that place where you are like raw in that place, and it's quiet and there are no distractions. I had a jumping place before I got to where I am today, and that was like a stepping stone for me. But the next step that I took after that really removed all distractions for me. It was quiet, and there was nothing external in my life. I had turned off all of my social media. I took a break from social media. I took a break from my podcast, took a break from my YouTube channel, took a break from my newsletter. I'm really happy to be back now. But when I eliminated, on top of that, all of the other distractions and just let myself sit in this really, really uncomfortable place with myself, you have no other choice when you've eliminated all distractions from your life. You have no other choice at that point other than to know yourself in a way that you've never known yourself, and to feel everything that you have been holding on to for such a long time, whether that's grief, whether it's pain, whether it's disappointment, feeling disappointed by other people. Maybe you have even disappointed yourself, and I'm going to be talking about that in an upcoming podcast / video as well. So one of the things that happened after I eliminated all of those distractions, like I said, is I got to know myself at a much deeper level. And so everything that I had been feeling, and even things that I didn't even know existed, for example, I had been holding on to this feeling of um, not being seen and not being feeling like I was good enough. Like I always felt like I had to get some type of external validation for the things that I was putting forward in order for me to feel like what I was doing was good enough. And that was part of my past childhood conditioning. A lot of people call it trauma. In my case, I like to think of it as conditioning from our childhood, because we learn so much about life and about how we're treated, and then we create an identity around all of those experiences that we had. And when everything is stripped away, when we do this inner work and we start to look at ourselves and we have these spiritual awakenings, just know that you never arrive at a point where you're like 100% healed. There is always work to be done. But I believe that when you give yourself that time and space to just like remove all distractions, and if you are in that place where you are going through a spiritual awakening and you're on your hero's journey and you're just really sitting in that place where you're just absolutely lost in your life, just know that you'll do the bulk of it over the period of time, but then things will always come up, and that's okay. You know, we're all human, so that's okay. But I was able to heal a lot of childhood trauma, yes, because there was that, but also some conditioning that just wasn't who I was. And a good example of that is this belief that had been instilled in me that I wasn't really smart, but I wasn't really dumb. And I know that is probably not the best choice of words to use today, but those were the words that were actually used back when I was a kid. Is I wasn't really smart and I wasn't really dumb, but I was just kind of somewhere in the middle, which to me in my young mind, I didn't know the word mediocre at the time. But now I see that as just, you know, when you're just there all the time, it's just you're not excelling and you're not down here, but you're just kind of in the middle. So you're just kind of average, you're kind of mediocre, which made me feel like there was nothing really special about me. And that no longer is true for me. So that was a past conditioning that was still playing out in my own life, in my own adult life, and it perpetuated this thing where I had to constantly strive and to be more and to present myself in a way where people would see me as a somebody, because I believed I was a nobody unless I was doing something extraordinary with my life. But so what happened there is I was trying to be somebody I really wasn't. So I didn't know who I was because I was busy trying to be something else that would get me the recognition that, yes, finally, you're somebody. And so that took a lot of inner work and just being with that, and the realizations that all of that really existed within me. So I'm really happy that I did that work, because that was really, really weighing me down a lot. And maybe you can resonate with something to that effect in your life. So that is what also happened when I took out all of those distractions. Okay, so here is another thing. I'm a mother. I raised 4 kids on my own, and I made choices as a single mother that I carried a lot of guilt for a lot of years. And bringing up my 4 kids on my own, I call myself, I was growing up with my kids. So I was relatively young when I had my kids, and so I grew up with my kids. And I was also very inner focused on getting my own needs met, that I couldn't be everything that I think I could have been as a mother to my kids. And so as a result of that, I made some choices that I think really impacted the kids. And so mother guilt and not being the type of person that you want to be, um, in hindsight, is not a very healthy thing, because if I put myself back into the place where I was when my kids were young, I didn't have the awareness that I have now. So I can't beat myself up for who I was back then. I didn't know. I just didn't know. So I made decisions based on the tools I had, where I was at in my own personal evolution. And I have to let that go. I had to let that go. But I was able to also have conversations with my now adult kids and apologized, and it even brings a tear to my eye today. They get to see a new version of mom now, and I'm really happy about that. And through the conversations that we've had, it's helped me heal, and it's helped me let go of carrying around the weight of that guilt that I had. And I actually have a really beautiful relationship with all 4 of my kids. They're all very unique, they're all very different, they're all on their own life path, and I just love them so much. I love you so much if you're watching this. And I was really blessed with some really, really amazing kids. Okay, so that's what I also was able to do after I took a break from my life. Let's see. Okay, so this one here, letting go of who I thought I needed to be and the identity that I had created around that. So this goes back to the healing, the childhood conditioning, because as I said, we create an identity around the conditioning from our childhood about who we need to be, how we need to behave, how we get love, how we are accepted. I know one of my triggers, and perhaps you can relate to this, is that when I did something that made my dad upset with me, he would ignore me. And for so long, one of the things that has always been a trigger for me was that when partners wouldn't answer their phone or answer the text or come home at a certain hour where I would expect them to be home at a decent hour, decent for me, I would feel rejected. And that was associated to a childhood thing where I felt really rejected when I felt ignored, not knowing that it had nothing to do with me, that had everything to do with, conditioning from the past. So I had to work through those triggers and have more of an awareness now of what that really means for me. So, but I had created identities around all of those conditions. And so all of that healing, all of that, the ability to, first of all, to be able to take a break from my life, in retrospect, is a huge blessing. It's a huge blessing. And my kids have rallied around to support me. I have some really amazing friends who really support me in my journey as well. And I'm so grateful for that. But this has been such a transformative time in my life. And so where I'm at right now is really, I'm not even at a crossroad right now. And I'll be doing an upcoming video about crossroads, brick walls, and new beginnings as well. But I'm not at a crossroad. I'm actually standing at the precipice of a brand new life. And I'm really excited to be stepping forward into this brand new life that I get to co-create with all of the new people coming into my life. And I feel way more grounded in who I am and what I want to be doing with my life and the experiences that I want to have. So to wrap up, the message of this video is that if you are at a place in your life where you are constantly walking into the brick wall, just know that if you allow yourself, if you give yourself permission to strip away anything that no longer belongs in your life, and that's a process. The universe has a hand in that too. You'll notice things starting to just go horribly wrong in your life, and you start to lose things. You lose physical possessions, you lose money, you lose jobs, like the whole kit and caboodle. Trust that there's a transformation going on for you, and that all you need to do is just allow yourself to be part of that transformation. And I promise you, if you do this work, you are going to arrive on the other side of your transformation so much happier, so much freer, so much lighter, so much more inspired, and you will have a new sense of self and a really, really deep love for yourself. So let me know in the comments below, did any of this resonate with you, or any of you also on your own transformational spiritual awakening journey? Let me know in the comments below. If you know of anybody who would benefit from hearing this message, go ahead and share this out. And if you've enjoyed the content of this video, please like it and consider subscribing. And until the next video, I'm sending you so much love. Take care. The whole kit and caboodle.